let's move to the last challenges, that is trustiness, presented by Andrea.
Thank you, Alberto. The topic we address in this section is rather subtle and not very easy to convey. To facilitate the explanation, I will use a description of a scenario representative of the typical industrial IoT systems in which our customers operate. The needs I am about to describe have been gathered thanks to feedback from our customers who have reported throughout the years. This typical scenario is illustrated in this figure. The three main actors involved are Alice, Bob, and Charlie. Alice represents the typical customer of the embedded systems. In other words, is a company that manufactures some kind of industrial machinery or devices. Charlie plays the role of distributor and/or service technician that operates on the industrial product on behalf of Alice. And the last player is Bob. And Bob is the end customer who bought the industrial product. So why the lack of trust in industrial IoT system is felt by these actors? These environments are typically multi-actor. As we have just saw, there are a lot of different players, such as manufacturers, distributors, authorized installers, and customers, and so on. These actors do not necessarily trust each other because in many situations they have conflicting interests. For example, think about an installer that may be tempted, in order to save time, to rush the commissioning of a machine, skipping some of the mandatory steps required by the procedure. If malfunction occurs at a later stage due to incorrect commissioning, the installer may think about altering the installation report to claim that they are not responsible. How to satisfy such needs in ToloMEO? The solution we chose is to integrate a distributed ledger. Simply put, you can think of the distributed ledger as a chain of records. What are the pros of such an implementation? The first one is immutable records. Distributed ledger technologies ensure that every transaction, update, or process that has been recorded on this spatial ledger is permanently recorded and cannot be altered. If properly engineered, DLT ensures regulatory compliance because it can support legal requirements for traceability and accountability in industrial environments. For sure, it provides enhanced transparency because all actors can verify data authenticity without relying on a single centralized authority. It is secure by design because it implements state-of-the-art technologies in order to reduce the risk of fraud and unauthorized changes. At the end of the day, it facilitates collaboration because it builds confidence in multi-party ecosystems, enabling smoother integration and partnerships. Again, we have to tackle a lot of challenges when implementing a public distributed ledger in an IoT ecosystem. The first one is security and compliance, ensuring cryptographic integrity and meeting regulatory standards such as eIDAS and MiCA adds implementation overhead. The complexity of integration is remarkable. Seamless connecting a distributed ledger with an industrial IoT platform, cloud services, and legacy system requires custom development. There is also an ongoing maintenance, which means keeping nodes updated, applying security patches, and ensuring compatibility with evolving industrial IoT infrastructure demands is a continuous effort. We have now a couple of slides showing how the implementation in ToloMEO has been carried out. We have a native integration with an open source permission public distributed ledger called Commercio.network. Dave Embedded System is part of the Commercio.network consortium because we own a validator node which is based on a proof of stake technology, and so we are active part of the network. This solution ensures complete transparency, meaning that anybody can run a full node, being able to clone the whole transaction history from its beginning without asking permission to anybody. Recently we published a blog post you can reach by connecting this link describing this implementation in more details. The integration of a distributed ledger provides a broad range of services. Let's start from one of the most important, which is called notarization. Notarization is the process of recording data or events on a distributed ledger to create an immutable, verifiable proof of their existence and integrity at a specific point in time. Thanks to the integration of Commercio.network within the ToloMEO ecosystem, this process is also eIDAS compliant. eIDAS is a regulation enforced in the European Union. In an industrial IoT context, this means that every critical action, for example, firmware update, device registration, commissioning of new product, and so on, may be logged, in other words, notarized on a distributed ledger. Notarized records are tamper-proof thanks to cryptographic hashing and consensus mechanisms. Any stakeholder involved, manufacturer, distributors, customers, and so on, can verify independently the authenticity of the data without relying on a central authority. In case notarized information is also electronically signed, you can certify the identity of the people who signed it. The last point is a little bit tricky, and I close this slide with a relevant quotation by the founder of Commercio.network consortium to underline this concept, which is often misunderstood when it comes to DLT. He says, distributed ledgers do not guarantee truth, but they nails down lies. In other words, DLT per se cannot guarantee the truthfulness of notarized data. This is an example showing the notarization process occurring in the context of the ToloMEO ecosystem. This example is taken from the blog article I just mentioned. It details the notarization of a SenML record storing a data point gathered at the edge. Specifically, it relates to the CPU nice metric collected by an edge device. To assert that this data is true, the entire industrial IoT system must be engineered to ensure that this data cannot be altered on its journey from the sensor to the cloud. This is why notarization itself cannot guarantee truthfulness of this data. The availability of DLT within the ToloMEO ecosystem allows to implement advanced features. Here we can see some of them. As already mentioned, we can implement data certification systems. If the system integrator can ensure from sensor to cloud certification of data, ToloMEO is allowed to notarize certified data, increasing immensely its trustworthiness. We can also think about creation of non-fungible tokens for several purposes, such as certificate of authenticity and proof of attendance. For example, thanks to the proof of attendance protocol, it is possible to prove that an authorized installer performed maintenance on day X at time Y at the end customer's locations. Also, we could implement real-world asset tokenization. The MiCA regulation enforced in European Union provides a comprehensive legal framework for crypto assets in this area, including rules for tokenization of real-world asset like industrial machines, for example. Distributed ledger technology, such as the one integrated in the ToloMEO ecosystem, is supposed to become the preferred technological infrastructure to implement the digital product passport, which in turn will be mandatory in European Union shortly. And this could be, in future, the natural evolution of the PMS system we explored previously. Other advanced services relate to the implementation of the so-called smart contracts. Smart contracts are distributed ledger-based executing program, self-executing program that automatically enforces the terms of an agreement with predefined conditions when predefined conditions are met. Thanks to the characteristics of DLT, these contracts are immutable, transparent, and trustless, meaning they do not require intermediaries to validate or execute transactions. How they can be harnessed in industrial IoT environments? For example, we can think about data monetization by enabling automated micropayments for data sharing between stakeholders or provided services. We can implement access control and authorization mechanisms. Think about granting or revoking permissions dynamically based on smart contract logic, ensuring secure multi-party collaboration. We can deploy predictive maintenance agreements, which means to automatically schedule and confirm maintenance tasks when sensor data meets certain thresholds. There are also possibilities in terms of supply chain traceability, recording and verifying each step of the product life cycle, ensuring compliance and transparency. Another point is energy or resource optimization. In terms of executing automated actions, for example, load balancing or resource allocation based on real-time IoT data.